Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about socialization. So with socialization, we're talking about the lifelong process through which people learn culture and become functioning members of society. Socialization generally has four purposes. It establishes our social identity. So my role would be like husband, father, teacher, coach. It teaches us role taking. We act different around different people. So like maybe you don't act the same way around your friends that you do around your family versus how you act around strangers. Socialization also controls our behavior. So it teaches us to obey rules versus breaking rules, and we internalize these norms. We learn to obey without question, like laws, paying bills, respecting other people, simple things that we internalize. A thing with socialization is sometimes there's the argument of nature versus nurture, whether that's with people, institutions, any other thing. And there are biological attributes, but since we're in the social sciences, we're going to focus on nurture. So, for example, with social issues, there's cross-cultural variations. We could use an example like violence. Even violence against women. So in Asia, 16% of women have had acts of violence committed against them by a man, versus North America, Asia is 16%, North America is 21%. Western Latin America, we're looking more like 41%, and Sub-Saharan Africa, we're looking at 66%. So we have different actions committed by the broader society of males towards women, because of not only cultural upbringing, but our socialization within that upbringing. So with social learning theories, we look at kids from a young age. And this is where people learn new attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors through social interaction. So one would be reinforcement of behaviors. So like kids that unknowingly switch gender roles, being reminded not to do that. If a boy wears makeup, or if a girl plays with trucks, they're going to be reminded by somebody that maybe the other gender is supposed to do that. And there's observation and imitation. So like if kids see others in trouble for something, they're going to learn not to do that. So again, social learning theory is mostly about early childhood development. So now if we look at this through one of our theoretical lenses, symbolic interactionism, we have a sociologist named Charles Cooley who talked about the looking glass self. So the three aspects of the looking glass self are perception, interpretation, and response. So perception is like how we imagine we appear to others, how we think others view us. So then interpretation, we imagine what they think or how they judge us. And then our response is how we react based on these conclusions, what our feelings are. Sometimes it could produce emotions. We learn from people whose opinion we value. So that's how we transition into the me. Now, another sociologist, Irving Goffman, talks about impression management. We provide information to the world to see us how we want them to see us and how we want them to judge us. We highlight our positive attributes while we downplay our negative characteristics, how we act, the clothes we wear, facial expressions. So now, if I had to go into like some critical evaluation about these theories, these things aren't, as I said, they're not always a clear predictor. Self, words like me, words like I, they seem pretty vague, and they're not exactly measurable in terms of like scientific research. People don't always have the power and ability to affect the development of others. So these can be seen as criticisms of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a more systematic approach and look at the different agents of socialization. So an agent is the individuals, groups, or institutions that teach us how to participate in society. Family does it with parenting styles. You have authoritarian parents that are just like, this is the way it is. You have the authoritative who try to set up healthy boundaries and try to interact that way. You have permissive parenting, which is like, as long as you don't hurt anybody, go do what you want. And then you have the uninvolved parenting. So these are all different ways that affect us socially. Siblings, whether they like it or not, they are mentors, they are role models. More and more people are living in multi-generational households. So we're seeing a lot more grandparents involved in the parenting role. And they bring a perspective to a young person's life. Then we have a person's play groups, peer groups, friends, people of similar age, similar status, similar interest. You could say in these groups, boys are often taught aggression, where maybe girls are more likely to be taught something more nurturing. Something you may not have known, 92% of girls ages 3 to 12 own a Barbie. So that's teaching them something. That implies that we're trying to give them a certain idea. Schools and teachers have an impact on us. I've had the good ones and the bad ones, like I'm sure you have too, that really influenced us. I had some that I'm still thankful for to this day, and I still have some that I wish I never came across. They have an impact on us. Pop culture, media, over 90% of children under the age of 4 use mobile devices like smartphones and tablets and that sort of thing. I think that's a pretty alarming number. Advertising is a big one. It's been a really huge thing to try to get companies to not target children with like cartoon ads and things like that. If you look back in the day, even cigarette companies targeted children with like different cartoon characters and things like that. Yeah, we start to develop our own identity as teenagers, and this continues through adulthoods, even as we adopt new roles. So like when we get a job, when we get married, when we become a parenthood, when some people become divorced, when some people get remarried, you have to start these things all over again and be socialized into that sort of behavior. Now, a little bit past that is resocialization. So this is a little more extreme. So like an example would be like a very intercultural marriage. If a white Catholic woman from the United States married a Muslim man from the Middle East and decided to move over there, she would have to adapt to that culture and probably even that religion. So that's a little bit more radical way of resocialization. Experiencing a disability when you've always been able-bodied, you're going to have to be socialized to learn to experience that. If you develop psychological issues, that's going to change things. So we look at resocialization as a tool, and to take that a little bit further, we can look at total institutions. These are like enclosed systems and controlled settings like nursing homes, mental hospitals. But some of these total institutions require like stripping away your identity and resocializing, rebuilding you. An example might be prison. It might be military. So their goal in the end is to build you to a person that conforms to their institution and is able to function that way. So now that you know all these things about socialization, I hope that in your work, in your studies, like I said in the last culture video, that we're able to recognize our own ethnocentrism when we look around and see how different everybody is and how different everybody's been raised and how different our values have shaped us. But more than that, I also want this to help you build a more empathetic framework for whatever career or whatever way you choose to live your life, to be able to see the humanity in others. So next time we're going to get into social interaction, and we have some other fun stuff down the road, so stay tuned. Good to see you.